Let's head to the courts. What's happening?
Yeah, so I'm taking you back to Friday, because of the holiday. So we didn't have a lot, nothing really even happened in the court. But let me take you back to Thursday, where we discussed about the Abesim murder case. Where,
What's the latest on that?
Yes, so Richard Appiah,
the footballer.
absolutely, was back in court last week, Thursday. And you note that in recent time, we're talking about the jury reforms, assizes, and all of that. And then the new initiative was launched the day last week. So all indictable cases, all cases that require jury, has now come to a new reform where the cases are going to be tried in an expeditious manner. So if the trial begins today, it's going to be on daily basis. So it is expected that within a month or two, the trial of a particular case to end. So we'll not see 8 years, 10 years, 5 years of cases that will have to go through all the trial. And Richard Appiah's case is one of the cases that have been fixed for hearing under the new initiative. So what Justice Erubiaite decided is that on the 14th of May, there's going to be a case management conference. There's going to be empanelment of the new jury, set of jury, and all of that. And after the plea of Richard Appiah will be taken. In fact, his plea has already been taken under the previous initiative, and the jury empaneled, but the trial was about to start, and then they decided that they are doing a reform, and all of things were put on hold. And so on Thursday, Justice Rubiaite said that on 14, when they come, they will do all the pre-trial hearings. And then on May 26, the trial will begin. When the trial begins on May 26, it will continue on 27, 28, 29, 30. So it's going to be a daily sitting, all of that, just so to ensure that everything that happened in relation to that happens. So on your screens now is the Richard Appiah, and then leaving the premises of the court last Thursday when he made an appearance in court. So in all red over there. I don't know what that, but he liked wearing jarabia. Last time he was in white, and this time around
he's in red,
and all of that. So he's back in court on the 14th. But what is clear is that on the 26th of May, Richard Appiah's trial will begin. And he's accused of killing 2 teenagers and then storing the body parts in the refrigerator at Abesim. Very sad one indeed, of course. So that's one of the cases that took place last time or sometime last week.
Okay. Then the cocaine issue.
So let's discuss the Ahmed Suale.
Okay.
Ahmed Suale. Yes.
Yeah. What's the latest on that one?
So the Ahmed Suale's case, Daniel Osukuranti made a third appearance at the Medina District Court. I beg your pardon. And in fact, when the case was called, prosecution updated the court, but the court was concerned about some delays in the matter, so the court urged the prosecution to ensure that they filed their disclosures, all processes on time, at least by the next agenda. That will be on the 13th of May. And they have also assured that once they have done that, the duplicate case docket ought to be forwarded to the Office of the Attorney General for advice because of the charges leveled against the accused person, abetment to commit murder, and definitely it's going to be an indictable trial. But of course, the AG will have to look at the evidence, the materials gathered, and all that investigation has uncovered to make a determination whether the accused person is linked to the charges that have been leveled against him. Once that is done, then the prayer or the advice of the AG will be that commit him to trial, and that will be done. Then the case transferred to the High Court for the trial to begin. But lawyer for the accused person, Kofi Esel, has been speaking moments after the case was adjourned. Let's listen to him.
Surmise from the proceedings is that the prosecution is just wasting our client's time. As of now, from March 18th, when they first arraigned him before court with their provisional charge sheet, which subsequently, and April 2nd, they changed to 2 counts. As of today, they couldn't come with any dossier ready for transmittal to the AGs to draw up the bill of indictment, nor anything towards the committal proceedings. There's nothing. They were just apologizing to the court that they will come back at the next agenda, that the court didn't give them any specific directive. But it goes without saying, there's a procedure. If you've charged a person with a provisional charge, you prepare towards the drawing up of the bill of indictment. So everything should lead towards that process. If you respect the rights of the citizenry, particularly someone just allegedly charged with an offense of murder, which makes it so dire that no court can easily or would want to easily grant the bill by exercising their discretion with some measure, so that nothing untoward happens and it will ricochet back to them. That why did you let him go and now he's on the run? So when it comes to such indictable offenses, I mean, we should speed it up. Because if you go to other jurisdictions, within a month or two, the trial is over. If the person is vindicated, he walks away a free man. If only you want to keep him, curtail his freedom, then you should expedite trial and not waste the person's time. But this is our country. Unless they tell you it's not late enough, but we're talking about rights that are not supposed to be treated with levity. The freedom of movement and Article 14. It's not a right that if any man born free subjects that right to the state authority and be given liberties, should not be treated with levity, as stated by the Supreme Court. So we are looking at the next adjournment that will come in. Though we're not happy with the adjournment, the date, but then the court diary couldn't admit us. It is not the best of adjournments that we got. It should have been at least 2 weeks. But then, the court is inundated with cases, and these are all administrative clogs within our justice system. The law says that it should be at least 2 weeks, but we got almost a month of an adjournment. So I don't want to talk too much, but then this is why we've been saying, at least let us respect the rights of.
Yeah, so that is Kofi Esel, counsel for Daniel, yes, also granting in there. He thinks that prosecution is wasting their time. They've come to court so many times, made a prayer, but still they are not ready. You cannot be holding an accused person for that long. But I have followed some other cases, and I think that this one rather is going very fast. But of course, depending on where you belong to. And
exactly.
That
Depending on where you sit,
absolutely.
I mean.
You have to observe a lot. So on the 13th of May, this case will come up. But the one that I want to discuss with you very extensively is this cocaine issue.
The Oyarifa issue.
The Oyarifa issues. And then Uche Chukwu Chima,
the Nigerian guy.
Yes, 56. He's been arrested, arraigned. And in fact, last Thursday, prosecution pressed new charges against him. So on your screens now is what I want to take you through. And at the end, you understand whether indeed the sum that we are talking about is $2.1 million. And this incident happened. So if you look at the fresh charge sheet that was filed before the court presided over by Justice Ruby Aite, it preferred 4 counts. So you note that on your screens, I have count 1, count 2, and then 3. All of them were put together because all of them were alleging the same, but this time around, the number of times that particular charge took place. So possession of narcotic drugs without lawful authority, contrary to Section 37(1) of the Narcotics Control Commission Act 2020, Act 1019. And so count 1, count 2, count 3, we're all talking about possession of narcotic drugs without lawful authority. And what his plea? He pleaded not guilty. Then count 4. So the fresh charge sheet came with 4 counts. Count 4 talks about the fact that use of property for narcotic offenses, contrary to Section 48(1)(a) and B of the Narcotic Control Commission Act 2020, Act 1019. And at the same time, he pleaded not guilty. So if you look at the 4 counts, the 4 counts cumulated to 2 main charges. Possession of narcotic and the use of property. He had denied all of them. But in the course of you understand. So let's check the next. Let's move on, Director. Let's move on. So when he was brought, you look at the fact that once the charges were read to him and his plea was taken, the next thing is for the prosecution to let the court understand the brief facts that really support the charges that they have preferred against the accused person. And per the brief file that was presented, it gave some kind of chronology of event, how the whole system unfolded. And let's start from 2023. The Narcotic Control Commission launches investigation into narcotic trafficking enterprise operating in Ghana and exporting to Africa and Europe. Fast forward, in February 21, 2024, Pascal Okafor, I'm sure that is a name that we have heard in movies and all of
John
that.
Okafor.
Absolutely. Was arrested and prosecuted for attempting to export cocaine from Ghana. And that particular Okafor has been convicted as we speak. Now let's check the next one. He has been convicted, and then fast forward, March 13, that's about 3 weeks or so, another Kenneth Uchenna was also arrested and prosecuted. And what they found out was that the two who were arrested and prosecuted, all of them had a link. And the link is towards Uchechukwu, Uchema. They realized that both of them, per investigation that they have conducted, all of them linked to the same, absolutely, to the same person. So he was the late surveillance. Okay, let's go on. So a surveillance was laid, and then upon investigation, he was identified. And then when they realized when he was identified, they noticed that he was seen accessing and using property with digital address. And the digital address system is what's on your screen, at Oyarifa. Interestingly, he was using two different properties, where he lives privately and where he was doing, allegedly, doing the operations from. Okay, let's move on. And then, so once they did that, they realized that, so when he was identified, and then he was arrested, the first time that they did was when he was picking in his private residence. They started searches. Let's move on. And when they started searches, they realized that no, at no point in time, at one point in time, there's no narcotic substances found, but huge sums of monies were in several currencies retrieved from a private residence. Then when they made further investigation, they noticed that there's another office that he's been operating from. That is where he's seen at his main office. And that was when he let them, gave them the keys, and they opened it. And then, let's move on. They realized that there were a lot of substances that were, so materials and implements found to package and then repackage narcotic substances. They also went on to say that when they make that search, these were the things that they found. 192 slabs, 57 pallets, and then polybag containing compressed substances found. And then it was sent to the Ghana Standards Authority. Let's move on. And then when the Ghana Standards Authority tested the substance, it tested positive, confirmed the presence of cocaine and heroin in the substances that were seized. And fast forward, when they tested, these are the percentage ratios of all the things that they retrieve from. They have cocaine 48.99 to about 70.42. They have cocaine pallet 49.63%. Then heroin 18.65%, and more other substances that they found. Then they have to, let's move on. So prosecution led by Watkins Adama made the point that upon all the things that they have identified, based on the investigation that were covered, they also retrieved or found out some properties, and the man was living in some luxurious vehicles and all of that. So investigations are still ongoing to ensure that other persons who are involved are arrested and all of that. But you notice that all the things that I have mentioned, I never mentioned the sum of
$2.1 million.
The due charge sheet didn't mention the specifics found.
Okay.
They withdrew the old charge sheet and a new one was found.
Okay.
But the prosecution made the point that in the course of the trial, all these details will come up. And then the court will know why Uchechukwu Uchema, 56, was arrested and arraigned and charged with 4 counts, cumulated into 2 main offenses. But his lawyers, led by Paul Asibi Abariga, are saying that, look, the monies that you said you have retrieved from him are not his personal money. They are monies that belong to the wife. So there's a question mark there. At the right time, they will have to make that available to the court. They have to approve that to the court. But he said that he wants to set the record straight by saying that the charges do not support, or the brief facts do not support the charges. And at the next adjourned date, before the next adjourned date, they are filing a bail application for the court to grant the accused person bail. So that is in relation to the Oyarifa cocaine incident that we've been talking about all this while. So there's sometime in May, this case will come back before the court again.
Okay. What's coming up today in court?
So there's a video I want to play it with you. Director, let's play the video, and let me take Lily's thought on that.
You arrested me, I'm innocent. You arrested me, I'm innocent.
Okay, that did give you an indication of what I want to talk about.
Human trafficking.
Human
obviously.
trafficking. Yes.
Every time these people are engaged in human trafficking. And you see, interestingly, they are very young women.
Very, very young. In fact, they said two of them and their ages, the senior most among them is 24. A man and then a woman.
24.
And then they are trafficking ladies from Nigeria, allegedly trafficking ladies from Nigeria to Ghana. And last week, we had this lady convicted and sentenced. That was on April 4. He was convicted and sentenced to 5 years for a similar thing. Today, another set of two. This one, a man and a woman. And the lady, interesting, if you read the story around it, she herself, even though she's importing girls to Ghana to come and do prostitution, she's afraid because she has lured them, she lied to them that they were coming to Ghana to do something else. And when they came, they had to engage in prostitution. So when, in fact, when they brought them, they were charging each of them to pay 8,000 Ghana cedis. Yes.
To come to Ghana?
Yes.
Hey,
for bringing them to Ghana, you're paying 8,000 cedis to their madam. And then she's made somebody to receive the money and then give it to her, because she thinks that once the people identify that I'm the one behind it, probably they could harm her, because she didn't give them the right information. She lured them and then brought them to Ghana. So today, the Achimota court will be making the decision, the judgment, of course, in relation to two accused persons who were arrested in relation to human trafficking. And we are told that they prostitute their commercial sex workers. And then we'll know the outcome. And guess where this one happened?
Where?
My area. Nungwa.
The
last time I was telling you about Medina.
Now your own people.
This one is at Nungwa. So we'll be telling you there will be a judgment today at the Achimota court, and we'll know what the decision
Absolutely. We'll be looking forward to that.
So that's all we have for you by way of court today.
Thank you very much, Captain. That's Murtala Inusah with court today.